Hello everyone, this is Husky here. I'm going to be casting Week 5 once again of the GSPA. If you guys haven't been watching the GSPA, it's proven to be an extremely fun tournament. I love the format that we launched this tournament with. This is going to be the last week of the qualifying round, so I wanted to cover as much of it as possible. Usually we're covering about 4 different series, but I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple more here because there's a lot of players on the line on if they're going to advance or not. One of those players is going to be Whitera spawning down in the bottom right side, and if you're saying Husky, his name is Duckload Raw. It is not Whitera. Just know that his sponsor is named Duckload, and he couldn't fit Duckload Whitera, so now it is Duckload Raw, which makes it extremely entertaining for all of us. His opponent is going to be a very powerful Zerg player, and I'm actually not sure how to say this. I'm thinking it's the word Jaxi backwards, but saying Eizcaj is very difficult, so I'm not sure exactly what to call him. Maybe I'll call him Jaxi, as it looks like it's one of those names where it's spelled backwards. I always love when a player's name is backwards, and it'll be a name like, I don't know, something so obvious like Michael, like my own name, and I'll struggle over saying it the entire time, and the people are just like, Husky, it's his name backwards. And I'm just like, ugh, how did I not notice that? So anyways, Whitera is going to be a fan favorite here, but, you know, StarCraft 2, the thing I love about it is anyone can win as long as you are prepared. You have the mechanics and the skill. It doesn't matter if you're going up against Whitera. It doesn't matter if you're going up against David Kim. If you are ready, man, you can crush your opponents. And, you can win the GSL if you are that good. So the very intense thing, it's probably my favorite thing about StarCraft, is that you really have to be on it to be consistently good. And whoever's at the top can easily be dethroned by the next up-and-coming player, so look out for the Zerg player. We'll see if he's going to be able to take down Whitera. If Whitera is able to win this series, though, he will be advancing to the bracket stages of the GSPA. And again, I will be posting a bracket video fairly soon, kind of updating you on everything. And if you're a little bit confused as to exactly what the GSPA is, rather than just some random games you're watching on YouTube, I will explain that as well. As I really like this tournament, guys. It's been kind of my favorite tournament to cast in a long time, and I had the pleasure of casting it with Day 9. For those of you who don't know, we were actually casting those games together in person for the most part. I mean, I have been traveling and things like that, but the plan is to cast as much in person together, and he cracks me up, man. He is so funny, and usually, I mean, you guys know me, my humor is just like really awkward jokes that you kind of give sympathy laughs to, but usually in a dual casting scenario, one player makes a lot of jokes, or one caster makes a lot of jokes, the other one does not. Now, when me and Sean are casting, I'm not used to casting with someone who makes a ton of jokes, and so I just laugh like a little schoolgirl the entire time. So hopefully, once we start getting into the good games, I can contain myself. But just know, casting with Sean is extremely fun. I love that guy, and there will be lots more of him in the near future. There's a lot of people who are posting comments that are like, stop casting with him, but there will be things like right now where I'm casting by myself, but also a lot of stuff where I'm casting with him. So, nah. There we go. I try and please everyone. But I have learned that no matter what you do, you cannot please everyone. Anyways, the map is going to be Shakura's Plateau. We have seen that Whitera has opted to go for his early expand. He did get his forge, his gateways on the way. He did get a cannon before the gateway, so that is going to delay his cybernetics core, which delays his warp gates, which delays how many units he has throughout the rest of the game. So that is a very crucial thing. You may see this and just be like, well, that's not a huge deal. But at the highest level of play, that is a big deal. But Whitera found it necessary to place that down there to prevent any sort of early roach break or anything like that. Now, he does have a pylon on the high ground. The thing I like about this is if there is a roach rush, this is actually really brilliant by Whitera. If there is a roach rush to try and get up here, he can warp in some zealots to get us around, possibly some sentries to force field the roaches up against the cannon, something like that. So I really like that pylon placement. That's something I just want to say as a Protoss player, that's something that I've started to do in most all my games. Just place pylons, at least one, you could even put one down here, where you can warp in units not only to counterattack, but also to get a surround on your defense. And you'll be surprised how effective it can be. The one thing you have to watch out for is that they can get sniped. So if there's an overlord here, roaches on the ground, they can snipe it, and you don't want to lose those units. This drone, still kicking it in Whitera's base, as Whitera has not had any units to get rid of it. You can see he is making a stalker right now, and will attempt to clean out this drone. This drone has a 0% chance of making it home, but he has scouted everything there is to scout, and he even has his overlords in perfect position to scout out in a little bit. So unfortunately for Whitera, you can see he's banking on a lot of money here, and that's just because this drone is taking so long. So I got to hand it to our Zerg player. he has forced Whitera to delay everything that he had planned. So he was forced to use some of his money on an upgrade, which he probably meant to do that anyways, but he's also delaying whatever tech. So right now, Whitera is going to be going for a potential 6 gateway push, which, I mean, at this point, he would already want these gateways not nearly completed, but I'd say about a 4th or so done, and he's just now able to drop those. So it is going to be delayed, and he does have another gateway on the way. Now, this is a risky play from a Protoss player in that it basically forces you to rely on those gateway units for an extremely long time. You're not going to have much as far as observers go. Did he just trap this poor little stalker? I feel like the stalker was trying to get out of here. Whiteraw's like, no, go to your room. I'm locking the door. And that probe man, a total monster. Now, we do have a lair on the way for our Zerg player. He also has an Evo chamber here. He does have static defense. He will most likely need to get a little bit more, but he should be okay because he's only on 2 base right now. He has not expanded, and I don't know if he's looking to expand. He does have enough money to do so, but the thing is, if he catches wind of what's going on, if he just defends perfectly, then Whitera's going to be in a world of hurt. Now, did he add on a robotics? Yes, he did. So the observer will be on the field. That's why you don't see the additional gateway. Usually you will see 6 or 7 gateways. And no, he does have a nice little entrance here for his units to funnel out of there. So Whitera did not lock his stalker in his room. I'm sorry. He is not a bad parent at all. And it looks like, well, maybe he is locked in there because that stalker's stuck. I don't even know if these units are stuck or not. We will find out as this game progresses. But it does look like Whitera is going to be expanding off of this, which this is an interesting play because he has a lot of units that he can potentially attack his opponent with. But he is going to indeed expand off it. He is going to allow the Zergling to spot this. And the response from our Zerg player, well, he did make a bunch of attacking units. Look at this. He has Zerglings on the way. I believe I saw Hydralisk, unless he canceled it. He may have canceled that Hydralisk in to make a Roach Warren instead. But, yeah, this is the response from our Zerg player. Whitera did force a lot of units, and look at this. He is now forcing a lot of Zerglings as well. +1 attack is on the way for our Zerg player, so he's going to try and delay the push of Whitera as long as possible, because if he can have +1 attack on Zerglings, that is extremely good. I mean, the Protoss player will already have his +1 attack, but usually this amount of Zerglings does not have +1 attack that early. So he's just trying to buy time. The observer is going to spot that there's upgrades on the way. He's seeing everything that's going on. He did not see the Roach Warren, which that I would say is not a huge deal. What he really wants to spot is this infestation pit, which where is that infestation pit hiding out? I see him that he has one. But, yeah, he wants to try and spot that. There it is down here. It has been spotted, but that's amazing placement on that infestation pit, by the way, trying to hide that tech. Because infestors, sick good against gateway units, especially at this stage. If we can get out a couple infestors and get that fungal growth going, the Zerglings with a +1 attack, a couple of roaches mixed in, which is what we're seeing, that would lock this down. Now, Whitera, has he lost his chance here? Or is he just buying time? Right now you can see he's delaying the creep spread of the Zerg opponent, trying not to lose his army. He did grab that tower, saw a lot of Zerglings running by, and these Zerglings are going to attempt to get us around. Will he be able to do enough damage here, though? It does look like these Stalkers will get taken out. 1, 2, or 3 Stalkers will get sniped. Nice force fields, though. They're going to trap that. Even the Stalker pretending he's a force field. Units lost here, though, is going to favor Whitera after that. Good force fields able to finish off those Zerglings. And Whitera has held. He is able to get this base up safely. He did do a lot of damage there. And now the supply is 108 to 115, which is not a comfortable spot for a Zerg player. He does have 9 infestors on the way, though. You can see 4 on the field with a bunch more on the way. So there's going to be about 10 infestors, it looks like, here fairly soon. And do they have enough energy for fungal growth yet? Yes, they do. The pathogen glands finishing just in time. All these infestors will have enough for fungal growth. There goes one fungal growth, second fungal growth. Can he get it down? It looks like these infestors having a difficult time getting over here. There goes the second fungal growth. Infested Terrans in the mix. Should be able to lock these down, but at what cost? It looks like he is going to be losing several of his infestors. Whitera microing perfectly there. Even though he lost that army, he was able to take out those infestors, running down here, try and take out another one, but he is going to have to retreat. May end up losing these stalkers, though. Yes, he will. So now Whitera in a really bad spot. That shows you the power of the infestor, where it went from Whitera's going to crush him to Whitera just got crushed. That's kind of how the metagame goes, though. 5,000 resources lost there. But he does have his third base up and running. Can he hold on here? As this is going to be a couple of roaches, but there is enough cannons here to deal with the infestors. You got to remember, infestors really can't deal with cannons unless they waste their energy on infested Terrans. I wouldn't really say it's wasted, but and you'd much rather be using that energy for fungal growth in most situations, unless you're harassing a mineral line. and it does look like a robotics on the way for Whitera. Now, Whitera is playing this out really smart. He's added up a couple of cannons, and he is going to be sitting on this 3 base. You can see he's chrono boosting out probes. He has 3 probes being produced at a time, because after you lose an army like that, a Protoss player, I mean, if you just sit back and try and remake your army, a Zerg player is going to heavily out macro you. The best thing to do is to try and get out as many probes as possible, hold on for as long as possible, and then try and get that big ball of units that Protoss are known for. But right now, it's 99 supply to 144. So it looks like Jaxi going to be in a really good spot here. Now, does he have enough units on the field? Because he does have 59 drones, but this army could still be defeated by Whitera. Here's some reinforcements right here. He's got to try and bust up this ramp. Perfect force field to prevent the Zerglings from doing too much damage. Not enough energy for another force field, but the Infested Terrans are going to be on the high ground. That is the good use of Infested Terrans that you need to see from Infestors. The force field's trying to hold on as long as possible, but Whitera is going to be in a lot of trouble here as this expansion is getting completely crushed. No Colossus in sight. Neural Parasite has nearly completed. It looks like Whitera is going to warp in some Stalkers here, but I mean, time is running out for Whitera in this situation, especially now that he's been losing all of these workers, and he does have a couple of Stalkers here, but he's going up against a heavy amount of Roaches. Even though he has +2 attack, it's not going to be enough, and Immortal is exactly what he needs to try and turn this battle in his favor, but it could get Neural Parasited as the upgrade is going to be finished here any second. Look at that, making a wall with the Infested Terrans. Got to prevent that Immortal from microing away. Whitera is running out of options. He does have a lot of Stalkers, though, reinforcing off of all those gateways, and he is going to buy himself a little bit more time with this. But, I mean, this is a lot of units on the ground. Roaches do not have any upgrades quite yet. Burrow is going to be created, but this is just not very many Stalkers. He's trying to save them. Will only be able to save 2. The Pro blocking that other Stalker, and he's saying, well, I don't want to die, man, so I'm just going to stay right here. But at this point, a 4-base Zerg versus a 2-base Protoss, that's not comfortable for Whitera at all. And during that, Jaxi actually decides to drone very heavily. There's 11 drones being produced there. He has 87 drones versus 47 of Whitera. And Whitera is just going to sit back on this one mining base. His main base isn't mined completely out. As soon as this is mined out, though, he is going to have to push out. But really, his only option is to try and mass out off the 2 mining bases he has. He's attempting to expand. You can see the Nexus has been reduced to a pile of cubes, and it does look like the Zerg player will spot this pylon, be able to take that out. So Whitera is just going to have to sit back and turtle very heavily. I've almost never seen a Protoss player come back from this position. If there's anyone who can do it, it will be Whitera, and hope that Jaxi makes a huge blunder. But right now, it's going to be tough for our Zerg player to throw this game away. I mean, he's almost 100 supply ahead. Nearly impossible to come back from that. But Whitera is working on an armor upgrade as well as another Colossus. So like I said, Protoss are best when your army is clumped up. But the problem is when you go against that many Infestors, then that's really what the Zerg player wants. You got to remember that the Fungal Growth does additional damage versus armored units, which is the majority of a Protoss army, especially if there's Colossus in there. We have Stalkers as well. And then really all you have left is Zealot Sentry, which at this stage of the game, that's not going to do much by itself. So right now, I mean, this is a dire situation for Whitera. There's not a lot he can do. I think he knows it. He knows that he's way behind, but he's going to try, because a Protoss army can take you by surprise once it's nearly maxed out, but he has a long way to go to get to that position. He does have nice upgrades, and at this point, though, Jaxi, he just has an overwhelming amount of units. He should be able to get us around here. These Stalkers just used their blink, so it is now off cooldown, and these Stalkers cannot escape for a little while. The Colossus will get Neural Parasited if the Infestors get over here, and Whitera is going to do a surprising amount of damage here. That shows you the power of the upgrades, but the power of losing your Colossus is far worse. He has them attacking each other right there. Good control, and it looks like Whitera this is going to be it. I can't imagine him surviving this, especially if the Zerg player reinforces it. Both these Colossus have been mind-controlled, are now killing off the Stalkers, killing off the probes, so the kill count on these Colossus is good. Unfortunately, most of it is against Whitera. So Whitera now losing the second Colossus that tried to reinforce this, and he's using it to outrange the cannons. Even though the armor upgrade is nearly finished, there's not a lot Whitera can do. So at this point, I feel like he's just having fun because, yeah, he has 1 stalker. I think that's all he had was the only attacking unit. Yep, 1 stalker, 2 observers to spot the destruction, and Whitera's army currently was 3 HP because that is all he had left was that 1 stalker. So Whitera, man, does get taken out by Jaxi. That's what I'm talking about, is if you play extremely well, the timing by Jaxi was phenomenal, was able to crush the army of Whitera, even had the hive tech completed. At 20 minutes into the game, the only thing that really could have been better was his upgrades, as, I mean, his upgrades were just 1-0, but it doesn't really matter if you're able to crush a player like Whitera. So anyways, we're going to go on to game number 2. Whitera will have to win the next 2 if he wants to advance. So all the Whitera fans out there cheer for him. All the Jaxie fans, well, he's one win away from knocking Whitera out. So yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.